Today we're looking at Land Rover Defender Classic. I believe it's a 1997, if I'm not mistaken, and it's the very first one that we've ever gotten with the long wheelbase. All the ones that we've sold in the past, they had short wheelbase. They were the Defender 90s. Now, one common thing with about all these Defenders is no matter how nice we have seen them, they were never perfect in terms of the body and the exterior. I think when they were brand new, the body panels were not completely straight on these cars. They're made of aluminum, and I think it's a thinner grade of aluminum. And all these cars, they tend to have wavy panels, and they're very easy to dent. And this one actually doesn't have as many of them as some that we've had, and all the dents are actually pretty tiny. I think the other side is a little worse. As you can see, it's got all these dents, and I'm sure most of them will come out. They can be removed, but you can see how thin these aluminum sheets are. Another thing about this aluminum is that it does not rust, but it oxidizes. And you can see areas, and again, very common, these little bubbles in various places means that in these places the aluminum oxidized. Now, this is not penetrating rust or anything. Actually, if you take a screwdriver or a hammer and if you start hitting it, you'll see that this is pretty solid. There is really no damage underneath to be concerned with, but it's right there. And the only cases that we've seen this not to be present on the car was only when the car was completely repainted with body work done, and this was eliminated. All the original ones that we've seen, they have these areas, either better or worse, but they, to some degree, they always had those oxidized areas. So I would say that in terms of the cosmetics on the outside, this probably is in line with the average condition of the ones that we've seen. Dents, scratches, and oxidized paint in some areas. And I think another reason for these Defenders to have all these damages and imperfections is also because of how these cars are used. These are not used as luxury cars. These are workhorses, and normally in Europe they're used as such. A lot of times they're just farm cars. Now, the nice thing about this one is the interior, because it's clean and I think it's all original. The seats don't really show much wear. The interior actually is pretty nice. The car has speakers, and I think we've seen wires going to these speakers. Normally they don't come with a factory radio, and this one looks like it had a radio, but it was removed because there is no radio present at this time. So the radio must have been removed. There's a manual moonroof. This is the cargo area. There are seats that are available that you can buy and install here on both sides. Now, one thing that we found in this car is several repair books, very professional repair books. which tells me the previous owner did a lot of work by himself. And mechanically this car was in pretty good shape when it arrived. I think he had some minor oil leak. Just like all these older diesels, they always sip some oil. What we've done is we've replaced all 4 suspension shocks, so it has brand new shocks all around. It actually drives very nice and very smooth. That's the biggest surprise that we've encountered comparing it to the short wheelbase, is how smooth these drive comparing to the Defender 90s. They're maybe not as quick because they are heavier, but they do drive much nicer, and especially for highway driving, they're just way more comfortable. Let's go ahead and start this car. I do imagine that these cars are pretty reliable, only because as many of them as we've seen, we've never had one that would have major issues, mechanical issues, such as engine or transmission or differentials or any driveline problems. As I mentioned, they like to leak oil, and I don't think this one leaks a lot, but I'm sure there is some sippages, and we'll show it on the lift video. But all these diesel engines, they've always sounded so nice, and this one is no exception. This is the newer TDI power plant. It's a 2.5 liter. It is turbocharged. And it's pretty solid, and it drives very nice as well. All right, the next we'll put it on the lift and see what it looks like underneath.